So coaches, thank you again. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you are staying safe and healthy. Obviously, the circumstances around the world aren't the best for all of us. We're all facing the same thing, regardless of what country we're in. So I do hope that you're healthy. I hope your families are healthy. And I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. And let's all hope that 2021 brings us some resolution to our current problems, and we can get onto the pitch and do what we're most passionate about as soon as possible. The session for tonight, the topic is how to maximize limited training time. And I put in here 20-minute sessions. And the reason for this is obviously we, as goalkeeper coaches, if you're part of a team or you work with teams, if you're in a college, if you're working with a youth club, sometimes you're told, okay, you've got 30 minutes. 15 minutes into that 30 minutes, you said, oh, someone says, I need 2 goalkeepers. Then you need 5 goalkeepers. And then you're down to 1 goalkeeper with 5 minutes left in your session. So adapting your sessions to make the most out of them in a short space of time. So I'm going with a 20-minute training session. That's going to be the focus, and how do we maximize our time when we're with the goalkeepers? Again, I want to say thank you to the people that support the International Goalkeeper Coaches Conference and a new platform that we're going to launch in the near future. One person that is not on here, or one company that is not on here, is 710 Studios and Heather Herzen, who is responsible for a lot of the social media that goes out there. Without her, you know, I'd be in trouble, basically. So, you know, a special thank you to Heather and everything that she does to help me in my dream and follow my passion. So tonight, everything is about time. Time is something that we have a limited amount of. It's something that as goalkeeper coaches, we ask for more and more, and we end up typically getting less and less. It's something that is out of our control. So maximizing the time that we have is critical. So again, maximizing your training time and how to go about it. So I'm going to present to you a number of different ways of approaching your sessions. And I'll show you some video evidence of these different ways, both with professional goalkeepers, with young goalkeepers, with a large group of young goalkeepers, and also with 17, 18-year-old goalkeepers. So a bit of a spectrum there. And I just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people aren't working with professional goalkeepers. So I'll show you some working with a group of, it was 9 goalkeepers, age ranges from 10 to 14. So that'll be part of the presentation. So the first thing, as I said, is looking at goalkeeping in 20 minutes. And I'm not suggesting that we can cover everything in 20 minutes. We're going to be talking for probably about 35, 40 minutes. So I really appreciate your time and attention, especially to those people that are joining us from different parts of the world. So goalkeeping in 20 minutes. The first thing that I wanted to look at, one of the first thoughts I had was when we're designing sessions, it's the adaptation of training areas. And what I mean by that is we have in possession and out of possession, and how do we adapt to that? And as luck would have it, my screen is frozen. I'm just going to stop sharing and share again. I apologize for that. That's what happens. I apologize. 1 second. For some reason, PowerPoint doesn't want to cooperate with me. There we go. Right. So in possession, can you combine the skills and not just in isolation? So when we're working with in possession, now out of possession, Can we combine the skills? So incorporating different methods of hand and foot distribution, combining transitional elements, and not just focusing on the outer possession. We spend a lot of time when we're doing our training sessions working on out of possession. And as we all know, the goalkeepers actually spend more time in possession of the ball than they do in dealing with out of possession moments, such as 1v1s, shot stopping, crosses, dealing with crosses, and so on. So we spend more time with our feet than we do with our hands. So can we combine the elements when we're working in our sessions? So that's the first thing that I wanted to look at, was the adaptation of training, to make sure we incorporate multiple elements. And are the goalkeepers making the appropriate actions? And the balance of scripted versus unscripted service and situations. And this is something that takes some evolution, because we all feel sometimes we want a certain picture. We want a certain picture. We're looking for something in particular. So the service is somewhat scripted. So the ball is coming off the ground, it's looking to hit the goalkeeper at his or her chest height. And then obviously the decision-making process is, how do they deal with that ball? How does he or she catch and manage the ball? But then can we combine elements? Can we combine the in possession and out of possession, maybe giving them a target or playing it into another goalkeeper? So that's just one of the ways that I thought, and it's very, very simple, and we all do this. So adapting to training. This is a skeleton picture of a session that you're just about to see. So I'm the S, I'm striking a ball into the goalkeeper. There's no scripted part to it other than it's coming off the floor. The goalkeeper makes the appropriate save, returns the ball back to me, and then there's just a side foot pass that they deal with from server number one, as you see on there. The picture you're going to see is a complete session. So the video is 3 to 4 minutes. It's a complete session. It will incorporate shots, crosses, distribution from the ground, distribution from the hands. I was fortunate enough to have I only had 2 goalkeepers, but I had 1 equipment person. So you may use a mum or a dad, or not use anyone at all. But I had 2 goalkeepers and 1 non-goalkeeper and 1 non-soccer player to help me. So here's a look at the picture. As you see, I'm the big ugly guy at the back there. We've got 2 mannequins, 2 goals, and a rebounder. So I'm going to let this play. Here's the very first exercise. So again, incorporating, you could say, in possession, out of possession. So shot. And obviously we do this from both sides, just making the appropriate save. Trying to use left foot, right foot, and using movements that the goalkeeper uses in a game. So after the pass, getting back to the post. This is the first time that the goalkeepers were actually hitting the ground. We spend, as goalkeeper coaches, we spend so much time trying to catch the ball, when in actual fact, these guys very rarely catch the ball in the game. So I was working on cutting out balls that are served across the box. So as a parry, catch if they could catch, and then a quick reload for a shot. Moving into that, now you've got the real thing, a touch and a ball down the line, and then making a second save. So we built this quite quickly. Again, it's not revolutionary. Adapting to the touch, making the appropriate save. Now you've got distribution. Now you've got a touch and a longer ball. So again, there you go, coming from the other side. Distribution into the goal, taking a touch. So we got in possession, out of possession. And this is a day where I was told we need the goalkeepers in 20 minutes. So again, transition, drop off, reposition, and then distribute the ball. Dealing with the ball in the air, ball off the rebounder, and then making the appropriate action. So I could touch and shoot or play a through ball, as you just saw. Again, distribution, dealing with a high ball or a service from the flanks, and everything is live. Again, working both sides. Right, so again, dealing with in possession and out of possession. And if we have a target area, and again, what you could do is you could say, label one goal red and one goal blue, and hold up a cone or call a color, and add a cognitive element to it as well. So they have to make a decision, or have multiple people receiving the ball. Again, not revolutionary, but it's something that, combining in possession, out of possession elements. And if you didn't have half a pitch, as I had here, obviously the two goals could be two target players, or two coned off areas. Those are areas that you could distribute into. So you get that out of possession and in possession element. So combining elements of the session. So here's the second part that I wanted to look at. So in the warm-up phase of a session, we typically have a certain warm-up phase where they're preparing to cover multiple actions that they might be used, that might be used as they're going into a team environment. If your goalkeeper's going into a team environment, and I don't know about the rest of you coaches, but if you're working with a team, one of the pet peeves of some of the goalkeepers I work with is if they haven't seen a lot of live environments before they join the team, because they don't feel ready to go into that environment. So coupling actions and basic movements and decision making in the warm-up phase is really important. So it's not all scripted and it's not all comfortable. I spend a lot of time on the sessions trying to make the goalkeepers uncomfortable, trying to stretch them, stretch their minds, stretch their bodies, to make actions and decisions that often they don't want to do. When you think about a lot of the sessions that we run, and I'll get into that a little bit later, a lot of the sessions are sort of standard progressive sessions where everyone is comfortable. A lot of the goalkeepers, as they get older, and when I say older, I'm talking 15 and above, now the scripted sessions become very, very easy for them. So we've got to engage them in different ways. So we build the situation. So we add decision-making and or cognitive elements as well within the situation. You're developing the actions and decision-making. So we after the warm-up phase, we just layer in additional decision-making. And then from there, we add complexity and make it as close to the match as we possibly can. So we incorporate multiple outcomes, and we also add a transitional element. So in the exercises that you're going to see here, the warm-up was very, very simple. I'm not going to bore you with the warm-up. There's going to be 2 1-minute exercises that you'll see. The first one, and this is what I called situational progression. The first one, we're dealing with any type of situation that results from a cutback. So anything that results from a cutback. So here's the first one. All right, the goalkeepers cannot see the ball. I'm directly behind the mannequin, and you'll see how that, again, this is just very simple decisions, not super live, but I'm trying to get them to think, see, and even communicate. Right, so just very, very simple. Ball can come off that person in the middle. And the goalkeeper must respond. It could go down to the side, could go low to the side, could go up in the air. Again, they've just got to make a quick decision and explode offline. So now this is live off the touch. So the person between the 2 mannequins, we built this into them running into that space. And I'm making sure that goalkeepers don't just play the exercise. Again, anything is possible, anything is live. Everything comes off of a touch.
Great. That last step here takes your body away from it. Just go straight with the hands. You had it. Here we go. Yep.
And then obviously that's a clearance. So the exercise itself promotes all sorts of different decision making, positional aspects.
Good. Switch. Straight. Go in there, please.
Different requirements from a cutback. Again, based on, and when I'm working with that group of goalkeepers, it's based on who we're going to see next. So we're playing a team that gets down the end line, plays balls back across. So again, just trying to not have a scripted environment, and we've layered in the very first warm-up exercise was about just getting them used to the ground. Second exercise, as you saw there, was decision making, very, very simple, but building explosive movements. And then the third exercise takes it completely live. And again, incorporating multiple outcomes. Nothing was scripted. The only thing you knew was that the ball was taking a touch down the end, down the sideline, and being cut back. So anything could be built from there. And then obviously we did it the other side. So combining elements of the session and just adding layers is another way in which we can maximize the time that we're given by the head coaches or by the environment that we're in. This is one of my favorite things. I love working with young goalkeepers, whether it's boys, girls. I love the energy, the enjoyment that young goalkeepers bring, and the passion that they bring. And that's one of the things that we as goalkeeper coaches, we are passionate about goalkeeper coaching. We need these goalkeepers to love the game. We need these goalkeepers to want to continue in what they're doing. So I believe in empowering the goalkeepers. So when we empower the goalkeepers, what we're doing is we're providing the environment. We create the structure, and we give them a skeleton and a basic outline of what's going to happen. And you allow the goalkeepers to manipulate and adapt the situation and the activity as it goes. Now, sometimes this can work, and sometimes this can be an absolute shambles, depending on the group you're working with and how you manage it. Okay, so then you've got your coaching energy. The environment is a very random environment, and we take a back seat, and it's very much player centered. We find ways to provide feedback. So, and again, this is the environment where we've got 9 goalkeepers, and we've got a lot of people on this call tonight, and people that will see this, that go and they work with 9 goalkeepers, and we do what I would call a camp session. So we're not actually helping them in a game environment. We're doing technical work. We're working on one aspect. So I'm going to show you this video. I'm going to let it run for a little while. Again, this is a video that you'll see the rotation of players, and I want you to listen to what actually goes on within the video. There's very little instruction from me. There's coaching in the flow. The player-centered environment is something that I believe in, especially with young goalkeepers. It's our job to encourage those goalkeepers and inspire them to be great and bring their energy. So take a look.
Ready? Right here. Yeah.
I apologize for the camera angle. When I filmed this, I thought it was much better, but obviously it wasn't.
You can't play or come shoot on the goal they just came from. Yep. Switch keepers. Out and in, go. Charlie out, yep. Yeah, you say that now. Yep. Yep, come on, play. Let's stay, yep, let's go, yes. Oh my word. Yep, the keepers, 2 balls. 15, quick. Yep. Play. Wow. So yes, you can do that, or you can pass. Ready? You got to be aware of that. Yeah. Yeah, turn. Love it. Yes, Dylan. Play, Dylan. Switch keepers. Connor. Gotta be bigger. Yeah. Oh my word. Yeah. Play. Good. Well done. Next ball. Yes. Good. Oh my word. Yeah, switch.
So you'll hear the feedback from the goalkeepers as they go.
Okay, go ahead. Two up here. Ready? Who's in the goal there? Charlie, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Away. Yeah, we go. Yes. Yeah. Boys, you have to cover it. Yeah. On top. So here's what's going to happen. Let's do this. Yeah, start on this side. Start over here. When I say change, you're all going to change goal. So you're going to move to there, you're going to move to there, okay? You're going to come in.
So the other thing to bear in mind is the age of the goalkeepers. The 10-year-old goalkeeper does not cover, doesn't deal with the big goal. But in this environment, he will. And the 10-year-old goalkeeper is the one in the yellow jersey. His name is Charlie.
Come on, Charlie. Yep. Yeah, just regroup some of the balls, please. Jojo, throw those balls out, please. Nice and quick. Nice and quick. Heads up. Ready? Ready? Yeah, you're on this side, Charlie. Ready? Yes.
So allowing the goalkeepers to lead, allowing the goalkeepers to problem solve. Very few coaching points. They have a little bit of fun with the way they score goals.
Yeah, wider, yeah. Save! You're going to go across. So you've got to travel as the ball travels. Great save. Yes, Charlie. On the big ugly guy right here. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, ball. Yes. Yes. Good. You see the ball. Yes. Go ahead. Oh my word. Switch. Switch quickly. Switch. Jojo. Oh, lovely. What a goal that was. Here we go. Yeah. Down again. Down. Down. Get your upper body lower. Shoulders and knees closer. Here we go. Yeah.
So the tall boy that's in the big goal right now in the middle, he had a growth spurt of 6 inches basically within 4 months, and I don't think he knows where his toes are, so he's trying to get used to his body. This video was taken over a year ago, and he has progressed incredibly within the last year to 18 months.
Love it. Stay up. Play. Yeah. No, that's me. Yeah. We play, yes. In, back, down.
So again, trying to incorporate decision making. You've got shot stopping. You've got goalkeepers working with their feet. The idea of them then taking the ball and shooting on each other was also to add a transitional element to also get them thinking that they're going to do something with the ball afterwards. So you just heard a coach say, Phil, can we get the 12s? So can you get the under 12s? So I'm just about to lose 2 goalkeepers.
That one doesn't count.
So again, creating the environment that allows them to get multiple touches, make multiple decisions. The warm-up was a little bit more technical
Good save. Everyone reacts.
to prepare them for it.
One throw in. One throw in. Yep. Switch. Charlie. Ready? Yeah, go. Come on, Charlie. What are you doing? I'm kidding. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Get it. Oh, what a save. Yes. Get back in. Yes. Yes.
So again, empowering the goalkeepers to make their decisions based upon the environment. So this is really the environment that was created. But because of the numbers of goalkeepers, what I did was I actually had a box. I had two players out in front of me who I used to play off of. Ball in, ball back, and then everything was live. Again, with one of the ways that I deal with the younger goalkeepers is with the use of humor, or sometimes I think I'm funny, but we try and use humor. We try and help them with different buzzwords. Again, you saw there that in a very short space of time, I mean, we'd been going for 3 or 4 minutes and already someone says, can we get the U12s? So we started to lose goalkeepers. So in these environments, it's really important that we coach in the flow. And again, we manage how we coach based upon the environment that we're in. More specific information can be given at natural stoppages. But if we've already laid the groundwork and given the goalkeepers the information ahead of time, we don't necessarily need to go into long, drawn-out explanations that the goalkeepers that actually stops the exercise and stop the flow of the session. So this was the session. It was very, very simple. At the end of the day, obviously putting Charlie in the big goal is fun. And if you heard the camaraderie within the group, he says, am I in the big net? And someone just said, try your best. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're trying to get to. So empowering the young goalkeepers, empowering young players builds confidence and leadership qualities. But from us as coaches, it takes trust, it takes caring and understanding, but with your voice and with our coaching interactions, we can inspire them. We can really bring out the most in them. So that's one of the things when we're working with young goalkeepers, oftentimes you'll see a lot of coaches who will try and give so much information. They're going to try and give information to show how much they know. And I don't think that we necessarily need to do that as goalkeeper coaches. I think using small tidbits of information, especially with younger goalkeepers, is essential. A lot of them can't absorb large amounts of information. So inspire these young goalkeepers, create the environment that allows them some autonomy, something that they can develop, and have fun with them. And I've found that also helps build the trusting relationship between you and the goalkeepers. Obviously, that can go sideways very, very quickly, depending on the personality of the goalkeepers that you're dealing with. But in the environment that I had there are 9 goalkeepers. All of them are fun to be around. And I try and make the environments fun to work with them. So with that, I'm just going to stop the share for a second. Again, one of the things that's critical for us with our young goalkeepers is that we give them the opportunity to be successful. Too many goalkeeper coaches move through things so quickly because they feel like they've got to get to that next progression. They've got to get to that next environment without necessarily spending the right amount of time on the environment they're in. So I feel like we, as coaches, can do a better job of limiting the information and getting success from our goalkeepers. So as we move on, So here's our standard practice environment. All right, we have a progressive warm-up, which is a gradual build of movements, handling foot skills to prepare us for the session. We have technical development where we have a lot of reps. And then after technical development, we get into a multifunctional end game of the session. So the sequential action is what typically our sessions look like. A lot of coaching sessions look like this. But when you've got limited time, sometimes, and I'm sure we've all done it, I know that I have, you start with your warm-up, you get into the technical piece, and then maybe the coach needs the goalkeepers earlier, or you run out of time because you spent so much time on a technical environment, or one of the goalkeepers shows up late, or they're in detention at school or something and they can't be there on time. So you never actually get into the multifunctional environment. So, and again, if you're working with older goalkeepers, and again, when I say older, I'm talking 15 and above, if you're working with older goalkeepers and you don't get to the multifunctional environment where they're having to make decisions and respond, that will be reflective in the session that they go into if they join their team. You can't expect them to be able to then switch on automatically, make appropriate decisions without having their brain activated first. So this sequential action and the logical progression is our standard practice environment. So again, this is when we've got limited time as goalkeeper coaches. I feel like this is an environment that we have to get away from because you may run out of time. So again, you're looking at the number of reps per goalkeeper. Do you give all the goalkeepers the same number of reps? Are they going to get that before they get into the multifunctional environment? And when they get into that environment where we're overloading them with decisions and it looks more like the game, does everyone get their fair chance at that? And even in the environment that I work in now, sometimes our number 3 goalkeeper doesn't get the number of reps that I would like him to get in the end game, in the end environment. So I try and create these more open environments and scenarios more and more often, so they are all making decisions all the time. So this is this is somewhat of a standard environment. This video, I'll skip through the video. You'll see 2 goalkeepers. This is the very first thing they're doing, just a little warm-up, hand-eye, getting a bit of a stretch involved as well. Switching sides. And again, this is a session that was done 2 years ago. So I went back to try and find a session that followed in that sort of sequential pattern. And again, this was an environment, when I looked at the total session time, the total session time was 22.5 minutes before they went into with the team. So these goalkeepers at this time, 16 and 17 years old. Again, very, very standard practice. Footwork around into a goal to make a save. And again, the service is non-scripted. It's just coming at them. They've got to make the saving decision. Both of these goalkeepers have gone on to have very, very good collegiate careers. The one with the yellow shoes just won a national championship last year. Again, so coaching in the flow, because I know that I have limited time to work with these goalkeepers. And as you'll see, when we talk about this, you'll see the environment that was created, and that was again a poor service from me. So the idea here is the ball is played over the goals. They take a little bit of an advanced starting position to save in either of the two small goals. It's not scripted. I'd like to say the wind took that one. Or the sun was in my eyes, one of the two or both. So again, you could do this from the side, you could do this from front, but again, we've got 20 minutes. The team, you can see a team is preparing over there on the other field. I've got to make sure that they're ready to go into an environment with different shots, crosses. So when I watch this one back, as a coach, the distance from the two small goals to the big goal was too big. So again, he makes a save here. If I was to do this again, which I haven't, I would pull the big goal a little bit closer. So again, you've got the shot, you've got the cross, and then from the cross, you've got a distribution element as well. And again, the idea was to actually combine the shot stopping and distribution with crosses and then transition. So the goalkeeper was recovering into goal. And then as you see, ending with some more 1v1 type activities. So again, this is again, 20, I think it was 20, as I said, 22.5 minutes with two young goalkeepers. So again, the environment, as you saw, was set up the whole time. The only adjustment I made right at the end was to take one of the small goals out. And that was obviously an exercise, that part of the exercise wasn't planned. We ended up having the 2.5 minutes extra. And we didn't go on the other side of the goal to do it from the other side. So again, my session plan was to have these goalkeepers involved for the 20 minutes, because that's what I thought I had. And then as you know, sometimes, as I said right at the start here, sometimes we're begging for more time, but we're not told you've got more time. They just, coaches like what they're doing and they just continue to go, and we have to adapt and adjust on the fly. So again, managing your environment and having your environment set up is very important. This is just another environment that I've done with large numbers. I've done it with 3 goals and I've done it with 4 goals. Again, dealing with all sorts of different decision making. You can do this with balls in the air. You can do it with balls on the ground. Ends up being shot stopping, 1v1s, angle play, and also distribution. So there's a lot of different elements that come out within this session. If you don't have large goals, obviously you can use poles or cones, and you can make it bigger or smaller depending on the environment you're looking to create. This is something that a lot of coaches have done with small goals, and used, actually, as Jason showed in our last event, he had something with small goals and it was really, really tight. So something like this environment often adds lots of different elements. And again, this is going to be shared with you, so you don't have to try and scramble to draw it down or read the small writing very, very quickly. So your checklist, and we're bringing this to a close. So the checklist for the sessions, for your short sessions. So number 1 is your anticipated actions. And this is something that I actually stole from Tim Dittmer in England. And because we had a conversation and we're talking about outcomes. And one of the things that he was doing in his session design was anticipating the actions that might be needed within the session. So again, for us, are the actions relevant, and are they random? So are we looking for a scripted situation, or is it more of a random? And as a coach, I feel like we have to anticipate what the actions are, because then we can deal with what the potential challenges of the goalkeepers may be. Also, within your session, when you set up your session and you've got this limited time, we've got to maximize the time that we have. You have to have in the back of your mind, if this environment doesn't work, how do I change it to make it work? How can I adapt the environment? So not only are we anticipating the actions, but we have to anticipate for failure. And that's failure from the goalkeepers, which is 100% normal and expected and wonderful, because that gives us our coaching moments, but also failure from the coach. And the failure from the coach is, this doesn't bring out, I'm not getting the outcomes that I was looking for. How do I do that? And you've got to know what variables you can mix within that session to try and get what you want. So the second part of it is your coaching method. So knowing how you will add your relevant information. Is it going to be in the flow of the session? Is it going to be at natural stoppages? Can you do it when the ball is on its way back to you? Are there things that you can do to make it more player-centered and less coach-centered? Limit. So in these environments, sometimes, and being a US soccer instructor, and I know that we have a couple of US soccer instructors on the call here tonight, which is wonderful. You know that sometimes when you go and you watch someone else coach, they step in and make a coaching point, and the coaching point is 1 minute and 30 seconds. The head coach or the person who's running the team has already told you, I need the goalkeepers in 20 minutes. So if you step in once and make a coaching point and it's 1.5 minutes, your goalkeepers at max would get 18.5 minutes of work. If you do that 3 times, now your goalkeeper's getting 15.5 minutes. The more times you step in and make it coach-centered, and this is how much information I know, and I'm going to give you all this information, the more we do that, the more we detract from the players' time in the goal. And a lot of the time that the players are in the goal, it's about self-discovery. It's about discovering new ways and methods and how their bodies work. So in these moments where we know we've got limited time and we have to maximize the time, from a coaching point of view, we must know what the anticipated actions are, where it could go right or wrong for the goalkeepers, where it could go right or wrong for the coach itself, him or herself, but then how are we going to make those interactions? From there, the environment. And this is something that I believe impacts a goalkeeper's mindset the minute that he or she steps on the field. If they step on the field and they see multiple goals, or they see cones already in place and they see mannequins out there, or they see a setup that piques their interest, already you're winning. Already you've changed the mindset of the goalkeeper. Already they see an environment and they're excited to be on the field. With young kids, this is awesome. I'm not suggesting that you go out and buy all the toys. I know that there are some people out there that, and I won't name any names, Joe Velasco, that have all the toys, all the rebounders, all the mannequins, the ball shooter, everything. Sometimes when you walk on the field and it's organized and everything's set up, the players look forward to what's about to happen. So when we're dealing with minimal time, we don't want to be moving things on and off the field. We don't want to be say, oh, let's grab this goal from over here. That takes 3 or 4 minutes to set it up. And now from that 20 minutes, you're down to 16 minutes. Then you've got to explain the exercise. You're down to 14 minutes and already, you're wasting your time, your valuable time with the goalkeepers. So set up your environment so you have minimal transitions. Now the goalkeepers can maximize their time. The next one, the game actions. So within these environments, can we provide opportunities to make game actions, appropriate movements and technical or tactical decisions? Sometimes that's very challenging. I understand that, because we often need more time to develop larger tactical situations or tactical decisions. But even a 1v1 and doing that in a game environment, in a small game environment, 2v2, 3v3, or even the cutbacks, as I showed before, those decision-making and tactical elements are game-related. So creating that environment with minimal transitions, coaching in the flow and knowing what you can expect. And then we've got our outcomes. So with your limited time, are you able to get the desired outcomes? And oftentimes, as many of you know that I've been able to speak to, I work from the outcome backwards when I'm designing a session. I know what I'm looking for. How am I going to get the outcome? What's the piece look like? And then what are the steps prior to that? Or how do I create this environment and make it more complex and game realistic? I put here as well, is there a potential for additional work? And again, with respect to the people that are in this meeting and those that are going to see this, oftentimes, and I know this to be true, oftentimes as a goalkeeper coach, the coach says, the head coach, or regardless of who you're working with, you're told you get a certain amount of time. So as I said, we've got 20 minutes. After that 20 minutes, you got 3 or 4 goalkeepers, and you send only 2 can play, unless they're doing a game with 4 goals, or there are multiple teams and you send them to multiple teams. So a lot of goalkeepers, and this is unfortunate, and if you're one of these goalkeeper coaches, I'm going to beg you to self-reflect. I'm going to ask you to maximize your time. And what I mean is, when you send goalkeepers away to go with the team, and you've got a goalkeeper who is just standing waiting, and he or she is standing waiting for 5 to 10 minutes as the exercise is going on, or the coach is working with the number 1 and number 2 goalkeepers only, that number 3 is not developing. So is there potential for extra work? Hey, come over here, let's get a couple more reps at this. Or can they work on some ball striking? Can they do some handling while the other 2 are doing something for a longer period of time? I know for a fact, even at the professional level, in some clubs, when you go into a game environment, some goalkeeper coaches even take their boots off, and they're done. I'm done for the day. That's it. 20 minutes. I'm good. I'll put the balls in the bag, and that's my job done. So if, as coaches, can we find other opportunities to help our goalkeepers develop? And then in our outcomes, do we have decision-making and cognitive elements? So again, coaches, this is the checklist that I put together. It doesn't make it right or wrong, to maximize the elements that we have within that 20 minutes or a short space of time, whatever that may be. The key things for me are the environment, your coaching method, and knowing what you're looking for. Because if you know what you're looking for, you've already anticipated the actions, you've anticipated what could go wrong, could and could not go wrong. You're producing mainly game actions, and you're coaching in the flow. So the environment that you create is massively, massively important, and that takes a lot of planning. So again, that's goalkeeping in 20 minutes. So if we can maximize those environments, maximize those elements, and some of it does come down to us as coaches and how we coach, and some of it is empowering younger goalkeepers, then we can maximize our time and be effective coaches. It's not about how much we know, it's about how we can impact the lives of the young people we work with. So with that, I've talked for 47 minutes roughly, and hopefully if you're in another time zone, you haven't fallen asleep. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. I'm going to look at, if there are any questions, please feel free to type them in there. This is all the contact information for myself. If I can help any of you in any way, please feel free to reach out. There are some new and exciting things coming from the IGCC very shortly that I'd encourage you to look out for. But if I can help you, I will do my best to get back to every single one of you. So again, as I go to the chat box, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your time. And as I said, if I can do anything to help any of you, please feel free to reach out. And unfortunately, over the holidays, I thought I was going to get younger. It didn't happen. That was one of my New Year's resolutions, to try and get younger. Unfortunately, as I said, it didn't happen. So these things have to go on so I can read. Just looking at some of the things here, don't seem to be any questions. That's unbelievable. That's fantastic then. If I can help you in any way, here we go. Third goalkeeper, additional work while the other two are in the game with the team. It's funny. That's a great question, Jason. With a third goalkeeper, would it be good to rotate the goalkeepers, all three goalkeepers? Our job when we're working with a group of goalkeepers is to develop all of the goalkeepers. It's not just the 1 and 2. In my environment this year, all three goalkeepers played in the MLS, all three of them. So would I rotate all three through the exercises I was doing? If it was appropriate at the time, absolutely. Depending on the day of the week, in a professional environment, depending on the day of the week, yes, I would. If it was closer to the game time, I would not put the number 1 in for additional reps, as he or she might not need it and may be feeling good. Then you have the risk of injury and so on. So depending on the time of the week and the time of the season, I think it's a great idea to rotate all three goalkeepers through it, as long as it's communicated ahead of time. Communication as a goalkeeper coach is massively important when you're dealing with goalkeepers at a high level, and a high level can be academy and up. If all of a sudden you say, "Hey, Sarah, come over here, let's go, we're going to do extra," automatically sometimes she's going to be like, I don't want to do extra, I'm tired. But if you put it in their minds ahead of time, hey, when you're not in the goal, we're going to do 4 of these, 3 of these, and a little bit of kicking, then there's less of a pushback, if you like. So Jason, yes, I would absolutely rotate the goalkeepers through. Will we be able to share this with our other goalkeeper coaches? Yes, absolutely. You will have it. Am I skipping over the technical phase? No, I'm not skipping the technical phase when I'm going into a multifunctional environment. The warm-up is critical, as you know, to prepare the goalkeeper to play. I'm not suggesting that we skip over the technical phase of things. What I'm suggesting is we incorporate the technical things into the warm-up, and that's where they get their repetition. So my warm-ups typically do not involve volleys. We're warming up with either some sort of a tossed ball, which I'm not a big fan of either, but I've used it a lot more than I used to, or balls off the ground. So the warm-up incorporates movements, basic movements, and a lot of balls off the ground. So that's where we get our technical repetition from. When I'm dealing with the younger goalkeepers, we spend a little bit more time in that warm-up phase, and then a lot of times we jump into an environment straight away. So the warm-up phase, and basically the warm-up, it covers 2 phases, and then we go into a game environment. So no, I would not skip a technical phase. Steve, what metrics do you use to measure the MLS goalkeeper's development? Is there an objective benchmark, or is it all subjective? I think it takes, you've got to know your goalkeepers, you've got to know who you're working with, you have to manage your expectations, You need to know where the goals are coming from, goals against are coming from, and how you can prevent them. If you can put all that together into a metrics, I think the best metrics is goals against. If the goals against is low, I think you're doing your job. If the goals against is high, we've got some other questions that we need to ask. I think that's very, very individual, the goalkeeper metrics. So especially in the professional league and what team you're playing on. So I think that's rather individual. In a club environment, if you're going to have got 2 goalkeepers for 20 to 25 minutes and the rest of the group, say 6 goalkeepers for 60 or 90 minutes, any thoughts on making it most productive for all goalkeepers? Absolutely. I think it's important if you're having the goalkeepers for 20 minutes, again, they're going to be mainly part of your warm-up phase and the warm-up into the technical phase. So everyone would be doing those exercises, everyone would be part of that. And then when those goalkeepers leave and they go into a team environment, that's when it's more important to get into a more functional environment for the goalkeepers that you have left. One of the things that I'm doing at the moment is I actually have a training group of 6 goalkeepers from different MLS teams. And since they're not going to a team, I'm finding that, and we're training for, I'd say, an hour and 15 minutes. Today was actually an hour and a half. The goalkeepers never trained for that long. So, from when you say goalkeeper training for 90 minutes, that's an awful lot of work for a goalkeeper. And I know we've got some professional goalkeepers here with us now. I see John Bush in the meeting. John, thanks for joining us. Training for 90 minutes is a massive, massive ask for a lot of goalkeepers. And if you're working with youth goalkeepers, and I know that some people here work with large groups of goalkeepers for 60 to 90 minutes, because that's what the club is asking you to do once a week or twice a week. Those environments, it's really important that we get them into decision-making and game environments as best as we can, given the limitations that we are surrounded with when we're working with a club environment. So yeah, with the 60 to 90 minutes, I think it's important that we do get into gameplay if at all possible. So coaches, that is 8:58, which means we're just about done. If you have any other questions or if there's anything else that I can help you with, please feel free to reach out. Again, I want to stress to you, this is just a point of view and it's just to provoke thought. I'm not saying what's right and wrong. In the US at the moment, we don't have a direction. We don't know whether something we're teaching is right or wrong. We're all sort of doing this ourselves. I'm just trying to provoke thought because I believe that the evolution of our position, the evolution of our game as goalkeepers and goalkeeper coaches is we've got to be able to teach decision-making and create environments in which decision-making is first and foremost. Because one of the things that we have produced for many, many years is technical goalkeepers. But now you ask them to make tactical decisions and there's a big problem. So, and that's both on the men's side and the women's side. It's evident in the US. And for those people that are in different parts of the world, I wonder if it's the same for you. So again, I'm just trying to provoke thought, trying to help and spread a message of goodwill through goalkeeping, if you like. And again, I want to thank you all very, very much for joining me. There will be another session in a month. So these will occur every month. And there'll be a couple of other opportunities that will be arising in the next couple of weeks that will be a more consistent coaching education platform. So again, coaches, and for those people that watch this, thank you so much for your time. Please stay safe and healthy. And if I can help you, please do get in touch. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good night. Thank you.